All right, it's been a couple of days since we moved in. We're still unpacking. The house is a mess. And my space is over here. This is my room currently, and I have not set up my office at all. Yeah, it's gonna take a second. And it's not even a lot of stuff. And it's funny how things have changed over the years from a small setup to a big 32 channel mixer and setup and the whole nine and the whole studio, yada yada, and then moving it back into the garage after the pandemic. And now we're here. And at least in this scenario, I got a window again. So light is important in the creative space. Light's important. You don't always want light, but sometimes you want light. It's confusing, but it'll make sense. In any event, I am going to set this up probably over the next day or so. And you guys will see this video probably a couple of weeks from now because I batch film things all the time and I just haven't had a chance to work on this just yet. And I felt the smart move was to just go ahead and have something prepared for you guys. So you guys have probably watched, I think, 2 or 3 videos or so before you see this vlog, and that's okay. I mean, how could you argue with this view? Come on, this is just gorgeous, you know? I've never thought about living off of a lake, even man-made or whatever, but this is beautiful. And this is about to be the outside office. There's a couple of reasons for the move. I mean, for starters, like I said in the other video, the distance was just challenging for both of us. My wife was literally doing 2-hour drives each way. And that's been cut in half on a bad day. On a good day, 45 minutes. And I think we're gonna finally get the easy tag for her, which will cut her time down to 30 minutes because we live right off the highway that goes straight to her office. Like it's a straight line to her office. So for her, it's like zip, zip. And I was like, zip, zip, pay for it. It just is what it is. It's frustrating, but you know, I'll figure out some way to write that off. Beyond that, you know, it's just important to take care of your family. Like family comes first. So in our case, there were some challenges in the last neighborhood. And although it was nice, I don't want to put down anybody specific, so I'm not going to name names or label things, but I think some things would be obvious as I start to talk. One of our neighbors decided that he would have a restricted breed in the community, and that restricted breed is obviously a pit bull. And apparently there's some loophole where if you have it as a service dog, which no pit bull is a service dog. There's no such thing as a service dog pit bull. That thing's a weapon. So he had a service dog pit bull that was almost as wide as I am. And mind you, I'm 5'10", 226. This is a big dog. And he had a rope around the dog's neck and it kept lunging at my 3 young boys. It was the 6-year-old and the 2 4-year-olds. And I'm not afraid to fight a dog. And we just felt it was not a wise idea for us to continually stay in this space. We've had our place opened, not broken into, but opened when we weren't there because the company that runs the area, it's basically an apartment style home community scenario. Basically, it's a landing spot. Like people move to Houston and they stay in these type of places for like 6 months to a year to figure out where they're gonna live, and then they move out. And we didn't even put too many things on the walls or whatever. And we decided that we were just gonna stay partially boxed up. And even myself, I kept most of my stuff in the garage. And it's just kind of frustrating, you know, just trying to work with the whole situation. We moved in, and because we have twins that just, you know, go through diapers like crazy, I didn't see the point in throwing away those boxes. You guys saw those videos where I packed up the entire studio in diaper boxes. And it might have been a smart move because when we were moving in, those Brooklyn, New York senses started going off like back in the day where it's like, this doesn't feel right, something doesn't feel right. And we already signed a lease, so it's kind of too late to back out of it. And I'm kind of glad we put everything in those boxes because I could imagine if we didn't, somebody probably would have broken into the house sooner. But either way, I went to go drop the kids off to school one day and we didn't have an alarm on the house yet. And I came back and the front door was open. And the only reason I knew the front door was open was because Amazon threw a package in the front door and sent a picture of the package being delivered. At first, I was upset, but then I thought about it. I think that was the Amazon guy's way of letting me know that my door was unlocked. And I actually appreciated that. So thank you to that Amazon driver. I appreciate that thinking. And I rushed home, checked the house, everything was fine. The very next day, we signed up for a security system and set up the house with an alarm system. And we should have did it from day one, but a whole bunch of other things was going through our heads. And when we got past that and everything seemed fine, again, no one knows that I have a whole studio in the house or whatever, or anything like that. Um, Everything seemed fine. And we just kind of always had issues in the neighborhood. People wouldn't talk to us for whatever reason. It's not like we were mean people or anything like that. My kids have no filter. They're like so open and polite. So it didn't make any sense to us. It's just the environment that community was that type of community, and we didn't want any part of that. On move-out days, we loaded up the truck with the first trip to this house, and the decision was to take all the expensive stuff, pretty much all the electronics, and the entire studio one time. So everything important went one time out the house. And we drove here and dropped it off. And when we got here, we were unloading everything. Everybody was so polite and kind and sweet. And, that's kind of the environment, at this point in my life, my wife's life, it's kind of the environment we want to be in. It's the kind of the environment we want our kids to be in, and it makes more sense. There's a lot more community. And people have been reaching out already, and it's been really polite. And it's been really nice to have that experience again, kind of like how we had in Cali. And the next day, my wife took the truck and drove it back to the house. And knowing that she's a professor and she needs to have her computer up and running, the internet and everything, I went to the store to get the router, and I told her I would meet her at this house. I'll be there about 35 minutes later. And she took one of my daughters with her. The other one went with me so that she could watch the boys in the car so I can go get the router, because there ain't no way I'm getting anything in the store with them boys. Them boys is crazy. So it'd have been too crazy to do all of that there. In any event, I picked up the router and drove over to her, and I got there 45 minutes later. She had loaded a couple of things into the truck already, and she said, honey, I'm not really comfortable. I'm glad you're finally here, but, there's this guy with a truck who's been parking on one side of the moving truck, and then he moved to the other side of the moving truck, and it just kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the day before, so we moved out on Halloween, the first trip. So the day before, all of a sudden when we were moving out, everybody was out in the neighborhood. Like, never anybody comes out. Nobody comes out in the neighborhood. We're moving out, everybody's out, everybody's around near our house, right? And it's just me. This is like what happens whenever anybody's moving out. People look a lot. So anyway, I get there, the truck drives away, and then goes and parks on the other block, which is interesting. And I'm noticing all of this. So I said to her, let's just finish up. And she's like, let's hurry up and get everything into the truck. And we got the last bit of things into the truck. The kids were hanging out by the truck while we were loading. And we turned off all the power, all the lights. And we decided not to set the alarm because I knew the very next day I was going to come back and drop off the keys to the main office. We get back to this house and we're all tired and decided not to unload the truck. We just parked it in front of the house and went inside. Her phone goes off telling her the garage door at the old house is open. And I asked her, did you set the alarm? She's like, no, I didn't set it. I was like, damn it. I was like, I didn't set it either, but I'm not upset. We didn't set it because the plan wasn't to go back to the house at all. There's nothing there. But because we haven't surrendered the keys, we're obligated to anything that happens with the property. So I was like, we have to drive back over there. If it looks like there's physical damage to the home, we call the cops and have the cops go through. If there's no physical damage to the house, then we'll go ahead and just check it out real quick. So we get there, I get out the car, I start looking at the house, and there's no damage to the house. There's no damage to the front door. There's no damage to the garage door. The garage door is closed, which is not making any sense. And I decided to go into the house and take a quick look because there's no damage, no forced entry. I call my wife in the car and say that there's nothing wrong. And she comes in afterwards and we're taking a look around or whatever. And we notice that the garage light is on. Neither of us left the garage light on. The garage door was closed and the garage light was off because we left during the day. And it didn't make sense to have the garage light on at all. So clearly somebody came in the house. Here is my issue with this situation. And this is, again, underpinning why it was wise for us to move. The community itself basically, like I said, operates like an apartment. So there are homes instead of apartments. And the main leasing office, the manager has a key and the maintenance guy has a key. That's a skeleton key for every home. They have access to every home. The property manager is brand new. She has no clue what she's dealing with because this company has had massive turnover. Actually, since we moved in June, they went through 4 property managers since June. It is November. Yeah. And their temporary staff was a mess. And the first forced entry into the home happened before the current maintenance guy. So the manager was asking me if it was him. And I said, no, it's not him. Actually, he and I are cool. He knows everything about me, what I do. He sees the stuff in the garage. Like, he's chill. Like, I never thought it was him. And I expressed that to him because he's been really good to us. He actually let us know when there were certain things going on around the property. He even came and fixed things, without me being there. He just, called me up, let me know. I told him, going in, whatever. My wife remotely disarmed the alarm or whatever. Like, he's a cool dude and he's never touched anything. He's very respectful. So it's not him. And the property manager, she's not that lady. And she's really new to the place. And she was just very, taken aback. So I expressed to her something that he said to me. When he started, he realized that some of the skeleton keys were missing. And it seemed like the previous property company didn't turn everything over to the new company, and a couple of keys are still out there, and they haven't redone everything. So even if they rekeyed the key for each house, the lock would still accept the master key. And the real solution is to replace every lock on every door of every house in the entire community. And I feel like that company is being cheap by not doing that. So considering that safety risk, my kids' lives, my wife, and our property, and the rarity of some of the pieces of equipment that I have that are hard to replace, obviously life is more important than equipment, but at the same time, all of it matters, right? So we decided that, no, we're not going to stay here. This doesn't make any sense. This is not the right decision for us. And we decided to just up and move. And it's paid off. I mean, this is a way more relaxed environment. My hood senses are down. It's way back down to near 5%. The whole time I was there, I was at 95% all the time. To the point that even when I recorded videos, I didn't even have the speakers on much because I didn't want anybody in our business. You know what I mean? It's that type of alert. And it just never felt comfortable for one reason or another. And that's not a way to live. I don't even understand why anybody wants to live that way. I grew up in the hood. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I'll tell you straight up, I was born in the Caribbean and moved to Flatbush, New York when I was about 4.5 years old. I grew up on Lloyd Street off Church Ave between Rogers and Nostrum. If you know, you know. In the 80s, if you know, you know. That was one of those times where, you knew that if something was going to go down, you kind of saw it coming and you just went around the corner and went on the other block because he didn't want any part of that. You know what I mean? So I grew up in that. So to live the way I live now, it's a privilege. It's appreciated. And I would never take it for granted. And with kids, I take nothing for granted. With a wife, I take nothing for granted. So this was a smart move. Even if it meant putting us a little bit under the eight ball, it was still the right move. So I guess that gives you like an insight into like what's going on in our heads and everything. And just to give you like a quick update on the whole situation here. Like I said, it's nice and we are happy. And I'm looking forward to doing a lot of work here. I got some series that I'm going to be putting together. I'm not announcing just yet. I'm not telling you guys just yet. You guys will learn soon. But I think you're going to enjoy the content that I'm coming up with for the channel. And I'm still going to proceed with a lot of the things I was doing before anyway. Still do gear review here and there, but mostly we're going to focus on production and different tricks and different things that could make your sound better. And I'm loving the light out here on this porch. Like, this is beautiful. We're going to have to figure out how to make some things work right here. I should set up some speakers out here. She'd kill me if I did that. Is it worth it though? I don't know. Catch you guys later.